the values placed on yourself, that is how people is going to accept you. That is how people is going to receive you. Whatever you are today, whoever you are today, whatever you represent today, and whatever your life showcases today is as a result of the value that you placed on yourself, not on the values that other people placed on you. Most persons, if they don't see themselves, or if they don't carve out an identity for themselves, they're going to be living on a borrowed identity. Religion has placed a limitation in the minds of people, and you can see someone, because of religion, they can see that they are in a dead end. They have a way out, but their religion is limiting them because they think that way out is not the good way. Hello guys, in case you're joining for the very first time, my name is Williams Evidence. You're welcome to my YouTube channel. On this channel I do a lot of things, but the major thing I do is in reality podcast. But aside in reality podcast, I do other full asides where I talk about things relating to the society, things that are on my mind which I think should be voiced. Right, last week we had a very interesting topic where I spoke about the slavery mentality in Africa, slavery mentality especially in Nigeria, and how in a way the blacks, they seem to position themselves in a category that whenever they see a white person, there's just this demeaning attitude and demeaning courage they have towards the white people. And today there's something that's really been on my mind. In fact, this is what shaped the way I think. Right, so let's start by this. I'm going to share a story. I saw a series that should be last year. I finished it beginning of this year. The name of the series is Suits. I saw this series, and this series shaped the way I think. It shaped my best character in this series is Harvey Specter. He really shapes the way I think. He shapes the way I perceive things. He shapes the way I approach life in general. And I just told myself, I was like, if I saw this movie earlier, probably before I entered school, I would have known how to approach certain situations. I would have known how to deal with certain conditions as pertaining to me, right? Because I have fallen into I've been a victim of different circumstances that affected the way I think, that affected the way I see life, that affected the way I related with people. Right, so today I want to just talk about how people see themselves, how people carry themselves on a general note, right? There's this slogan, I was talking to a friend of mine some time ago. There's this slogan that I usually say, and that slogan is, who do you think you are? Now, the reason why I'm saying this is not out of pride. I am not saying this because of pride. I'm saying this because it makes me see the other person in a different light. Now, I'm not asking you that question based on the fact that you are lesser than I am. No, I'm asking you that question based on the fact that I want to see you in a position whereby I have a contribution to whatever thing that has been said. So, sometimes you can see how people can come into a situation, you can see how people can come into a particular environment, and they try to overwield their power over the next person. They try to see how they can overwhelm their, because probably they might be positioned in, and this is found mostly in the educational sector of Nigeria. Right, I graduated school last year, and I wanted to pick up my transcripts this year. You can see the series of processes. You can see the series of looting, taking money from me just for me to get my transcript. And by then I have not finished the movie Suits, so I wasn't really getting the full gist on how I should behave, how I should relate to people, the basis for negotiation, because I see how Harvey Specter addresses issues. There are times whereby he's locked up in a situation whereby is a dead end, but he keeps telling himself that I am the boss. There's something he says that I love so much. He says that life gives you this, but I like this. So on a general term, life gives you the average, but he likes something above the average. And he sees himself as the boss. He sees himself as someone who has the last say, no matter the condition, no matter the situation. He must, either you guys end on a 50-50 bargain, or he wins the case, because it's a law case, it's a law movie, it's a law series rather. So I see myself as, how do you think, or who do you think you are? And most persons, if they don't see themselves, or if they don't carve out an identity for themselves, they're going to be living on a borrowed identity. And this is one of the things that leads to decision paralysis. I wrote it down here, decision paralysis. Most times people, they are waiting for the validation of others before they can be able to make any decision. So your decision is not based on your belief, is not based on how firm your convictions are. Your decision is based on the validation of other people. And trust me, it's not every time that the validation of other people will go well for you, because someone can validate something good for you, and when you venture into doing that, and it turns out to be very bad. You should have a say for yourself. You should carry yourself with this identity, with this mindset that no matter who I am talking to, no matter who I am approaching, no matter who this person is, I can still, because see, this is how I see it. I am a human being like you. I am flesh and blood like you. Look, you have flesh, I have flesh. You have blood, I have blood. So no matter the position you are, you cannot make me scared. If I want to bring up a negotiation, I will bring up the negotiation. And people, because they, especially, let me use the school system, the educational system. Sometimes you see how lecturers react to students. You see how lecturers, professors, HODs react to students, because supposedly they are in a position whereby they can make the other person a victim, and they can fail you if you don't, conform to the norm, or they can intimidate you, they can threaten you with your grades. But any person who knows who they are, this is why I am really, really pained why I didn't see this movie a long time ago when I entered school. My God. Understand that you have a say. I was I can remember in my final year when we had one of our exams, we finished the exams, they took all the script from everybody, and my head of departments then took the script to her car. So I wanted to ask a question. A friend of mine and myself wanted to ask a question based on something we heard randomly in the exam hall. And he was kind of reluctant about how to approach, because it's different when you want to approach a lecturer on a normal day after lecture, and it's different when you want to approach them after an exam, because their mindset will be like you're approaching them because of this exam, right? So my friend was kind of skeptical about how he's going to approach her, and I just told him, I said that this person is a human being. Like, there's nobody. I told them when I was entering school, like, in fact, my second year or my third year, I told them, I said, there's nobody I want to see that I cannot see. There's nobody. See, the highest you can do to me is tell me to get out of your office, or tell me to go out of your face. But fear cannot resist me, or cannot refuse me from approaching you. No matter how strict you are with students, no matter how hard your face is as a professor, as a lecturer, whoever you think you are. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? I am a human being. I know what I want. If you don't know what you want, you're going to be so weak in approaching certain situations. If you don't know what you want, you're going to be so nonchalant about negotiations. I know what I wanted. I wanted to approach this HOD for my exam. I wanted to ask a question about it. Immediately I walked up to her. When she turned and she saw me, she was scared because of how I approached her. I approached her with this fierceness, with this boldness. The initial plan was to actually make her scared. So she was facing her car, putting the papers in. I just stood at her back like a ghost. And when she turned, she just shook a little bit. And I asked my question directly. And she was like, is this why you came to me in such a manner and all of that? The reason I did that was not just to make her scared, but I was trying to silence a voice in my mind that puts this person ahead of me. I know that there are hierarchies. I know that there are people that automatically they are higher than you. Like, they higher than you by hierarchy, by class, by knowledge and everything. But your position cannot refuse me or cannot intimidate me from asking you what I want to ask you. Before you occupy that position, before you are given that title in that position, you are first a human being. And so I see people first as human beings, and that's how I approach them. I see them first as human beings. You're a human being like I am. So I can approach you, I can talk to you. As far as what you're speaking is English, I can talk to you. The highest you will say is get out of my face, and I'll get out. But your disposition cannot make me to refuse my approach to you. It cannot. So this is how you should see people. Now this is not from a point of pride. As I said, have respect that he's great at negotiating. He can negotiate his way out. I can remember when Mike Ross was in prison after all his scam about law, about him being a lawyer, got opened and he got into prison and all of that. I can remember how Have respect that negotiated his way into letting. And let me tell you this. Now this is going to sound kind of somehow, but I think that religion has actually placed a great limitation in the minds of young people. In fact, in the minds of human beings in general. Religion has placed a limitation in the minds of people as general. And you can see someone, because of religion, they can see that they are in a dead end. They have a way out, but their religion is limiting them because they think that way out is not the good way, or is not a good way. For example, Harvey Specter can see that, okay, he can know an information about you that you made probably a fraudulent transaction at the past, or in the past rather, and right now you are having a case with him and you have kept him in a dead zone whereby he has no way out. And the only way out of that case, the only way out that Harvey Specter can use to win you, is for him to bring up that fraudulent activity you did years ago that is still undercover, to bring it up and therefore win the case. Now there's a way to go about this. What he's going to do at that point is that he's going to bring up your past to you, because in your mind you will think that nobody knows about that past, but he's going to dig in so deep that he will find a debt on you, bring up that debt and present it to you that, okay, either I win this case or we have a 50-50 deal whereby you win and I win. But most persons, because of religion, they won't do that, and they can see themselves go down the ditch. They can see themselves lose a case. They can see themselves giving to surrender, because they think, oh, this is not a good thing. But trust me, you are in a dead end. And if you're not even careful, if you are the person, if you're to switch sides, the person will also do the same thing to you. The person will bring up your past and use it against you. Now, I'm not trying to say that when you see something wrong about somebody, you bring it up and use it against the person just to, victimize the person and get over the person and win the case. But there is a way to go about this. If you are in a dead end, I'm not saying loud words the person do. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying that use that. That is a tool. It's a tool. Use that and find a way out. Who do you think you are? That's my word for you today. And that's how I see people. Whenever I approach people, my first perception towards them is, who do you think you are? I'm not saying this based on pride. I'm saying this because I want to make myself to think that this person is just a human being and I can talk to you. Because if I don't think like that, I might be scared to talk to you. I might be, kind of reluctant. I might be very, very limited in my mind to talk to you. But the first time, or the first impression I have in my mind is, who do you think you are? So by that, I have brought you down to the position that you are a human being. And because you are a human being like me, even though you are in a higher class than me, I can still talk to you. I can still negotiate deals with you. Don't play victim. Now, know your negotiables. Know the things that you can negotiate. And even though this person supposedly is in a higher class than you, but the person is bringing up deals, because I've seen people, I've had friends who told me about, someone in a higher class than them, or someone in a higher position than them brought up deals to them, and this deals is not appealing, the deals is not nice, the deals is not like, know what you negotiate, know what you can negotiate on. Don't allow somebody, because they are in a higher position than you, toss you like an object in the wind. And anywhere the wind go, that's where you go. They toss you around. No, know what you negotiate with. Like, know what you can negotiate. Know your negotiables. If you know that this thing will not, except you are doing a voluntary work for this person, because the person can be your mentor, the person can be like a higher person, or you can even use that as a medium to secure higher deals with that person. But except that, there are people who they want to just use you as a person to just make funds out of you, or they want to use you as a tool for their own advantage. That is different. But if you find yourself in that position that they want to use you as a tool for their own advantage, then you should know your negotiables. Your negotiables should stand. I cannot do this. Even though you're higher than me, who do you think you are? I cannot do this, sir. Please, let's do this like this. Let's take it like this. Let's take it like this. Know your negotiables. Trust me, the values you place on yourself, that is how people is going to accept you. That is how people is going to receive you. Nobody places value on the other person and that person gets that reputation of that value. Whatever you are today, whoever you are today, whatever you represent today, and whatever your life showcases today is as a result of the value that you placed on yourself, not on the values that other people placed on you. The values you placed on yourself is going to now give the people the impression on the values they will place on you. So the work first starts with you. Know your negotiables. Second thing I said here, speak to yourself first. There are times where you have a deal, you talk to yourself. Is this nice? Is this what I stand for? After I washed suits, I ordered some pieces of suits, like about 3 pieces of suits. I just fell in love with the corporate wear, and my mind was already very occupied at that moment. I was thinking like I'm a Spectre. I was walking like I'm a Spectre. I was doing everything like I'm a Spectre. So one day when I went to take up my transcript, by then I've already been manipulated. They've taken money from me in this office, taking money from me in this office, taking money from me in this office, just to get my transcript. So I got into this particular office, and the lady said that, okay, in order to do this, you have to pay this amount. And normally, there's this mindset, that there's this attitude that people have when they enter into either a lecturer's office or any academical position office. They enter and they're kind of timid. Hello, ma. Good afternoon. I'm not saying that is wrong. Good afternoon, sir. Hello, ma. No, they just act like a chicken that has been poured cold water. They are bending. They are kind of timid. They are just so solemn and all of that. I entered inside this office. I was seated there, and she said that this is the price to pay to do this, and I was already exhausted. I was tired. I was angry because they have taken enough money from me just to get my transcript. And normal me, at that point, I was about bending. I was like, okay, where do I make the transfer to, or where do I make this payment? I was about standing up. Immediately, I sat down. I said, please, I can't pay this price. Can we negotiate? Can we get this down to this price? Can we get this down to this price? And when the lady saw the seriousness in my face, she just said, okay, that is fine. You can go with that price. And that's what I keep telling myself. I keep telling myself that either in the market space, either when I'm negotiating a deal with somebody, you don't have the final say. I have the final say. I am not saying this because of pride. I am not saying this because I want to have a better deal, but I want to put so much reverence on myself that I want to be the one that have a final say. Or even though you have a final say, we are going to end on a deal that favors the both of us. That is how I see myself. That is how I carry myself. And I was about bending to that wheel to make a payment for something that was so big. And I said, no, I can't pay this. Can we go with this price? And because you saw the situation, and of course, most students who get into that office, they would negotiate like that, because students, they are so timid when it comes to the academic offices. They are so timid. You go to a lecturer's office, you're bending. You go to a lecturer, there's a way you carry yourself with so much boldness, not with pride, as I will say again, not with pride, not with pride, but with so much boldness, knowing who you are, that nobody can intimidate you. Trust me, nobody can intimidate you. There's a level of boldness so a person will see in you. They will just accept you. They will just love you. or they will have no other points that will respect you, even though you're a student. Know who you are. And finally, practice small no. One of the problem of this generation is that, especially in the ladies, I've noticed this in the ladies. One problem some ladies in this generation have is that they don't know how to say no. They are so concerned about the feeling of people, even guys, they're so concerned about the feeling of people that they take a longer time to say no, even though that thing is not going to favor them. So you can see somebody wanting to do a particular thing because they are concerned about how will this person feel, and they're not even concerned if this thing is going to hurt them, if this thing is going to put them in a negative position. They just want to make the other person feel good. Whenever you keep pleasing other people, you keep displeasing yourself. Nobody who pleases everybody pleases themselves. You will surely get to a position whereby you will so be displeased of yourself. Learn how to practice saying no. This was one of the problems I had. Then in school, I was in a boarding school. Someone is coming to ask me for and it's religion. It's religion. Someone is coming to ask me for provision. Oh, do you have milk? I feel if I say no, I'm not a Christian. I feel if I say I don't want to give you, I am not a born again Christian. In fact, I have failed the Lord. Oh, great Lord. So they will come, they'll ask me for this, I will give them. They will ask me for this, I will give them. A lady will ask me for this, I will give them. And me, myself, I am running dry. I had to tell myself, I said, if you keep doing this like this, you will go dry. If you keep giving out money to everybody that asks you money, very soon you will be the person that will be asking the other person for money. There are times whereby you have money, but you will intentionally say no, not because you're wicked. Okay, I said that this is not a Christian platform, but let me just say this. The Bible says that the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because He has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor, to heal the brokenhearted. He didn't say to give money to the poor, although Proverbs says that he that lendeth to the poor lendeth unto the Lord. But the other verse said, the Spirit of God is upon me because He has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. It means that people who are in the state of lack, what they need at that point is not money but knowledge. Because if you give them money, they will come back asking for more money. But if you give them knowledge, they will have a tool on how to create the money they ask for. They will have a tool to create. Someone said, don't give me fish, teach me how to fish. Giving them knowledge is teaching them how to fish. Giving them money is giving them fish. And when they eat the fish the first time, they'll come back to ask for more fish. So practice saying little no's. Practice saying no. Not every time that you will say yes to people. Not every time, even though you have, not every time. It's a practice, it's a culture. Thank you very much for joining me on this amazing series. I'm really glad. Please do well to like, comment, share to everybody you know, to your friends, families, enemies, everybody. Like, comment, share, and I'm going to see you next week. Have a great day.